there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Woodgrain and Winter. I'm also playing along with Off the Board today, and I am using a paint splatter inspiration piece that you'll see here in just a moment. It's also our final day for the Some Assemblage Required Advent Calendar, and it is also Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you. It says do not open until December 25th. I don't know if you guys can see that. So it's a wax seal. You can peel it off. Maybe. I'm going to try to peel it off and use it on a project. I'm being careful there. Okay, so that's super cute. I like that. Let's see what is in this. I'm kind of sad it's the last day. Okay, so we've got a piece. Oh, we have two pieces. Oh, this is cool. It says, let's do this again. I like that. It's got like the compass rose, and it's got like the little spheres. That's kind of cool. And then it's got a clip that has a wood grain, a gold wood grain wax seal on a clip. So that's cool. So you get two wax seals and a let's do this again. All right, I am going to pause the video, come back with paper and photos, and see what I can make. I hope you guys are having a super day today and a very, very Merry Christmas. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this layout. And this layout I did not actually work on Christmas. I worked on a couple of days before so that I could have Christmas with my family. Anyway, I have pulled out these dies. These are they're the Jumbo Alpha dies from Paper Rose, and they are the lowercase. I have uppercase and lowercase. And then I've got this Tim Holtz for Sizzix embossing folder. One of them is the wood round piece. The other one is called Cobblestone, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, one's called Tree Rings, and the other one is called Cobblestone number 2. And I used Cobblestone number 2 for the alphas, and then the tree ring one I used for my craft paper there. I thought I was going to use that in a lot more, in a lot larger batch, but I end up using it just to back my photos. I do realize that's a little bit of a cheat on my wood grain, but the wood grain is on there. I also have the wood grain wood veneer piece, and a wax seal that is also got a wood grain pattern on it. So I'm going to call it good, even though it's used in some not so obvious ways. So I've also pulled out two Shimmers paints, and that's what you see me using here. The light blue one is called Frosty's Buns, and the other one is called Witch's Blue. And I am mostly going over it with Frosty's Buns and then dabbing on a little bit of Witch's Blue to give a little depth of color. I'm trying to kind of match the sky in these photos, and I'm liking how that is coming together. I also like the cobblestone pattern. It kind of gives it a little bit of a, I don't know, a blotchy wet look, and I'm pretty happy with that. I did try inking up these wood rounds just to see how they would look. I wasn't really sure how I was going to use them at the time, but like I said, I end up just basically using them underneath my photos as photo mats, which I know covers up all of the good stuff, but that's okay. Those embossing folders that I used for these are the 3D effect ones. So when you use them, you have to use less plates on your die cut machine. So for me, I have a Sizzix switch. I just use the base plate and one of the top plates, one of the clear top plates, and I don't use anything else. It also helps greatly if you put your paper in there and before you close the embossing folder, give it a spritz of water, and that will help it to take the impression a lot better without tearing the paper. It gives the fibers a little bit of ability to stretch, if you will. So now I'm just kind of auditioning all of these things on my glass mat in the background I love that there is a grid on this glass mat, on all of the glass mats from Glassboard Studio, because I can see where my 12-inch marks are, and if I'm going to be within the boundary of a 12-inch piece, if I also have the ability to maybe trim off a little bit so I can do a little border around it or what. I do love that, and I especially love it because I'm using some white paper for my background, which I always feel like needs a white border. So these are the distress ink stains. They come in one of those bottles that has the dauber on the top, and you depress it to get it to flow. I'm using pumice stone, that's the grayish one, and then a little gathered twig, which is the brown one, but instead of doing the brown one direct to the paper, I pressed it into the pumice stone one. I also have my spray bottle sitting to the side, and I've sprayed the little foam top. Once I knew the ink was flowing, I sprayed the foam top to give me a little bit more of a splatter look, because you do need a lot of liquid to get that splattery effect. And then I am just tapping it down fast and kind of hard to get the little splat look. I like how it looks. I think it's perfect because the puddle that he's jumping in is a mud puddle, and it's those same colors, rather than say using a blue one, which might feel more like bath water or tropical ocean water or something. This is definitely not that. It's a muddy day near his house, not too far, not too long after it had rained, and he loves going in the mud puddles and splashing. So sometimes if you ask him what he wants to do, he'll just look at you and just say, splish splash, and that's what he's asking for. He wants to go splish splash. And so we get on his boots and his jacket and just, you know, prepare myself in my mind that he's not just going to go splish splash, but he's going to splish splash in the bathtub after this, because undoubtedly he's going to get soaking wet and muddy, which is totally fine. His parents don't mind, I don't mind, as long as there's time for a bath afterwards. If there's not time for a bath, then we kind of try to save it for another time, because I know it's going to require some tub time. So that's what these are about. My title is going to be Splish Splash. That's what I cut with my large alpha dies there. I will put a link for those dies down below in case they're still available. I don't know if these ink daubers are still available. I've had these in my stash for ages and I've never used them. So glad to be using them today. And I don't really know if they're still a thing or not, but if they are, I'll put a link for you so you can find them. I do have a a paper pad that has craft paper with patterns on it. I try to use the ones that I like the least to be my border pieces, because as you can see here, I'm going to have a border all the way around the outside. I am also distressing all the way around the outside of this layout just to give it a little bit more texture. I really like how that looks, especially for these boy layouts that I've been doing, the more masculine ones. I don't want them to look prim and proper. I want them to have kind of like a fun texture to them, so that's what I'm going with. And I'm liking how it's coming together. And now I'm going to go ahead and get my title on. I'm going to be real honest, I don't add a ton of embellishment to this one, and I don't really feel like it needs a ton of embellishment. Not every layout needs layer after layer after layer, and I feel like this is one of those ones that does not need layer after layer after layer. So I am going to use the two pieces that came in my advent calendar today, and I think they are going to do 90% of the work for me. The title is also going to help. I have a dauber here that has, or an ink applicator tool here that had blue on the pad. I don't know what shade of blue it is. It's one I used recently and have not washed. And I don't really mind not knowing, because I'm just putting it around the outside of the letters so that they have a little bit more pop off of the page and you can read them just a little bit easier. going in just like I said on the edge of them, where I take the ink dauber to be perpendicular to the edge of the paper rather than you know, sliding over the front of the paper. So that's just going to give it almost like a shadow effect, but not really. Just makes it so it's a little bit more legible. And then the piece of paper that I was just had on my page there, that was the piece of paper that I used to pick up all of the extra paint after painting these letters to say Splish Splash. There was a little bit more of that blue on the table or on my desktop, and I just added a little water and I dipped that paper in, and it's really light because I mostly used Frosty's Buns, which is a very light color. Those are from Shimmers, if I didn't mention that before. And so I am going to use a little bit of that paper. That's going to be my little journaling spot, but it does have a little bit of a sheen on it just to mimic what I've got going on in the letters, and I like the way that that ends up looking. I also don't want to cover up all of my little splats that I made. I also don't want to have to add any splats because at this point everything's glued down and I would end up with splat all over my photos or all over my title work, and I don't want to do that. So I'm keeping it simple today. And oh, I am going to add a clip. There was a clip nestled in the back of that what is that thing called? The wax seal. And mine popped off, which I probably could have glued it back on if I wanted to, but I really like the clip. It looks like a geotag, and so I decided not to clip it back on to the back of the seal, and I decided to use it on my little piece of paper here, which is where I will write basically what we are doing and where we are at. And then I am using a blue Muji pen, which Muji pens are my favorite pens, and I love using them. I think they work really well. And that is it, you guys. He definitely would like to do this again, so I thought that was a perfect wood piece for this little story. And I hope that you enjoyed this one. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below. As always, I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I do appreciate you taking the time to spend with me, especially today on a day where everybody is busy doing things for the holidays. So thanks for watching, and I will be back again on Friday with another one. Bye-bye.